Well, I think when you see, and I refer back to the tale from San Jose, which is, to me, the most concise way to present the situation. The mayor there, who's a Democrat, as you know, said we have had 7,441 employees. We laid off 2,000. Now we have 5,441. And if we continue on the track we're on, the same outflows and the same inflows, in 20 years we will have 2 employees for the city of San Jose. And their job will be to give out checks to the people who used to work for the city. There will be no police. There will be no fire. There will be no sanitation, and there will be no libraries. There will be no services for the citizens. But they'll pay the same tax rate. Well, when you look at it from that point of view, and that's the track we're on, it's unsustainable and it's highly undesirable. I don't think anybody's going to stand for that. So it isn't a matter of whether we're going to do some pension reform, it's a matter of what kind. And what I'm doing is my research. I'm not putting out a big proposal right now because I think that would be unwise. This is a massive issue that took a long time to develop, and it's going to take some time to unwind it. There's a number of principles on which I'm going to make those decisions. I like what 72% of Californians have said, which is we need to immediately shift from defined benefit to defined contribution. I think that's a common sense step. It's in step with what we've done in the private sector. I find it troubling that the public sector now pays more than the private sector for most jobs. And then on top of that, there's an additional obligation by the taxpayers to pay a lifetime pension and medical benefits. Well, thank God we're all living longer, but that's an actuarial nightmare for a state that has obligated itself to a platinum-plated healthcare plan that is fiscally unsustainable. And every projection shows that this is the greatest threat to our fiscal health in the state of California, that if we don't do anything, if we don't act, and the governor did a few things, but it hasn't changed the projections, that we're ultimately looking at $800 billion between the unfunded pension liability and the unfunded medical liability. Well, those are contracts that the city of Stockton has seen can literally bankrupt your city and destroy the infrastructure of government for the citizens, and that's unacceptable. Hate them. Stupid. I mean, you're going to tunnel underneath a wetland. You lost me right there, because I think the stability of what you're going to tunnel through is in severe question. And of course, as soon as you try to do something that shouldn't be done, it costs a tremendous multiple of what you thought it was going to cost. We've already seen the estimates double and almost triple. And it's so far out in time that it's too little too late. We have a crisis right now where we're literally burning through groundwater. And we've got rivers running at full capacity in order to sustain fish, but we're going to wipe out the most significant industry in the state of California. And we're also going to destroy the land by destroying the groundwater. And this isn't just here, it's not just in the entire Central Valley, it's all along the coast. We need a governor that understands that human beings were made in God's image, and they have more rights than the fish or the fowl. And if we have to grind up 4 buckets of minnows in order to feed the world, so be it. You know, let them not die in vain. Let's get them out there on the field and spread them out as fertilizer. But right now, the greatest threat to the agriculture industry in the state of California is our federal government. with this Endangered Species Act, with the way that they maintain the forest, the U.S. Forest Service. They have too many trees per acre. It's holding all the water up there when, if they had a healthy forest and allowed it to be thinned, then a lot of that water would be down here at a moment when we really need it. And then this nonsense of just letting water run out to sea to either A, flush out the delta, because they won't put in, you know, the sewage treatment plants and things that they need there in Sacramento and some of the other cities around there. It's just irresponsible. And these are things that can be reversed, and they should be.
Let me ask you.
And then the last thing, of course, we need desalinization. We need to be supplying our own water, and we have a massive source of it that's just sitting there being untapped for the most part. And that would help in Southern California. It would help along the Central Coast, where they're almost completely isolated. And so I think that's going to be an important part of a statewide water plan that has some vision. As far as immigration laws, I think if we're going to have laws, we should enforce them. And if we aren't going to enforce them, we should repeal them. And that means you have to go to the people. And I'd like to see us really reform immigration, not make it easier for people to come here illegally or, you know, provide incentives for them to come here illegally, but literally change the way that we, our entire immigration process, because it's so arbitrary, it's so difficult, and it doesn't serve us anymore, I don't think. I mean, we have people who come here to get PhDs, and then we deport them. You know, I mean, we kick them out before they've created a single job. That doesn't make any sense. If you want to marry someone, that's like the only Department of Immigration that is still enforcing the law, by the way. I don't know if you know this, but most people never talk about immigration. They only talk about illegal immigration. I have a friend who's trying to come to this country, and he told me there's 3 ways to get here. One is you win the lottery, okay? Number 2 is you marry someone. And number 3 is you exhibit extraordinary abilities that are necessary, needed for our economy. He's working on that. But the marriage part, he was telling me, if you marry a U.S. citizen and you want to legalize your status and come here, they will literally crawl into your bedroom and take pictures. I mean, these people are serious. They want to keep you out. It was funny, as he was describing to me, all I could think was, they're defending their right to exist. It's so bizarre and arcane that we make it difficult for people to come here who are willing to marry a U.S. citizen, and yet, if you just want to walk across the border, we have no idea who you are. So it's not like you've come into an office and sat down for an interview and laid out your background and papers and everything else. We just say, hey, come on in, we want to give you free college, free this, free that, free the other thing. We have a system that is so dysfunctional, and the incentives are set up at odds with itself. And I think we need to correct that. Take the DREAM Act. Yes, I oppose the DREAM Act. Absolutely, that's well known. I thought it was unfair to essentially take a seat in college and give it to somebody who had come into the country illegally, even though they may have come as a child, and hey, I feel for them. I met with a bunch of them. What a great group of kids. But we don't make decisions based on feelings. We make decisions based on precedents. And the precedent that we've set is now we have a DREAM Act that is an open-ended entitlement. So yes, you could argue, hey, we've done a good thing. We've taken care of the kids who came here through no fault of their own, and everybody feels good now, except the kids that can't get a spot in college and their parents have to send them out of state. Those people are still pissed off. But the idea that we now have an open-ended entitlement so that anybody who wants to come here next year and go to one of our high schools for 3 years, as long as they came illegally, is basically going to get a fast track to a free spot in college paid for by the taxpayers. I think that's deeply offensive to most Californians. We don't do that for members of our military. Why would we do that for people who came into the country illegally? We don't do that for legal immigrants. So why would we do that for people who come here illegally? We say we want less illegal immigration, and yet all of the incentives that we have put in place in the state of California reward illegal behavior. You can now become an officer of the court. You can practice law in the state of California, even though your status here may be in violation of the law. You can't make this stuff up.